The day might when brother Julian, what my fiancée was, by a cruel twist of fate. The same day I was declared dead following a car accident orchestrated by my own parents. My mother and father were radiant, with the backing of the bride's prestigious family. They were certain Julian would ascend to the peak of success. They had no inkling that the woman before them, wearing an enchanting smile, was prepared to lead them straight into ruin. I drifted above the wedding venue, watching Clara Thorne in her bridal gown as she glided toward the groom's dressing room, appearing more ethereal than in my fondest memories. She seemed leaner, perhaps striving for perfection in that dress. My brother, Leo Miller, was so startled by her sudden entrance that he bolted upright from his chair. It took him a heartbeat to regain his composure before adopting a tender, doting tone. "Clara, you know it is considered ill omen for the bride and groom to cross paths before the vows," he said. His voice was an uncanny replica of my own. Even someone as astute as Clara could not discern the difference. Clara offered no verbal reply, merely lifting a delicate, pale hand to straighten his bowed eye. "Why the sudden change in tuxedo?" Leo was ready, his voice soft and soothing. "I wanted to surprise you, Clara. I heard this garment and your gown were crafted by the same hands." Of course, he would never dare wear the suit I had chosen. He had spent an entire year mimicking my vocal inflections and mannerisms. Yet, despite the personal trainers and grueling workouts, he could not replicate a physique forged by years of genuine discipline. A body built in a frantic rush could never truly mirror one honed by consistent effort. After adjusting Leo's tie, Clara's hand slid down his shirt, her arm lightly brushing his lower back. Leo immediately bowed his head, closing his eyes to mask his triumph. He had employed spies to film Clara and me in secret, studying our every interaction. He knew that in such moments, I would lean in to kiss her. Anticipating what was to follow, I turned my head away. Clara craved physical affection from me, to the world. She was the formidable matriarch of a global empire. But with me, she was like a child seeking warmth, never satisfied no matter how much love was given. Ironically, Leo was the one originally intended to marry into Clara's family. However, back then, Clara had not yet returned from her time abroad, and rumors of her volatile nature had preceded her. Terrified their favorite son would be devoured, my parents turned their gaze toward me, the child the Millers had kept in the shadows. They termed it an alliance, but it was a sacrifice to the Thorne family. Every house in the city relied on the Thornes to some degree, yet the future head of the family was a rumored sorceress, breathtakingly beautiful but possessing a heart of ice. It was said no man she toyed with emerged whole. Yet, young men were still offered up to her like ritual sacrifices to ensure their family's survival. To the shock of the Millers, I did not only survive 2 years in the Thorne household unscathed, I thrived until our wedding was officially announced. When the invitation arrived, the city buzzed with disbelief. The Millers were frantic. Just as I thought I might finally see a glimmer of affection in my parents' eyes, I was met with a death warrant. Even though I was their flesh and blood, they stubbornly believed I had stolen the vitality that belonged to my brother. They blamed Leo's frailty on my presence in the womb. My father, a man of deep superstition, had consulted a mystic who claimed one of us would bring ruin to the name. They hadn't intended to keep me at all, but my grandmother intervened, promising to raise me herself. She named me Silas, hoping I would be a man of honor. In the end, I could not fully detach from them. My brother Leo had already leaned in, his face centimeters from Clara's exquisite features. I drifted closer, desperate for Clara to sense me, to realize the man before her was an imposter. Though we had been together for 2 years, I still felt she was a mystery, yet I hoped that for the sake of our history, she would find my body even with my corneas already harvested. "Clara, I am so cold." Alas, she sensed nothing. She did not allow Leo to kiss her. Instead, she stepped back, looking him directly in the eye. "Why did you not answer your phone last night?" Leo froze, then quickly grasped her hand. "I heard grandmother had a fall, so I rushed to the clinic. I must have missed the alert." Hearing him mention grandmother sent a pang through my chest. It was she who had fought for me, yet she was the one who called me to that intersection, leading me directly into the path of a hired truck. I wanted to ask why she had saved me then, only to discard me now. Clara replied that grandmother's health was indeed paramount. I frowned, Clara never spoke such platitudes. From our first day, she had told me I was a tribute, and therefore, I had to be at her beck and call. She demanded to be the center of my universe, and I had kept that promise. That was how I had earned this wedding. You are always so understanding, Leo said. Growing bolder, he leaned in again, but a knock interrupted them. It was Clara's assistant, announcing a personal call. Clara pulled away, leaving Leo frustrated. Once he had control of the Thorn wealth, that assistant would be the first to go. Leo adjusted his suit in the mirror, his vision suddenly blurring. He slammed his fist on the table in anger. Just then, my parents walked in, my father's face alight with dark joy. Leo. It is finished, he said, tossing a phone onto the table. I recognized it. It was mine. The corneas? Leo asked, his only concern being his failing sight. Do not worry. Son, it is handled. You can have the surgery tomorrow, my mother said, adoring him. No loose ends? The thought of clear vision improved Leo's mood. Relax. We submerged the evidence in a remote lake. By spring it will be forgotten, my father said nonchalantly, as if discussing trash. I tried to strike them, but I had no substance. Only then did I fully realize my own parents had paid for my life. Do not speak of it today. It is bad luck, Leo said with disgust. It is fine. Son, we had a ritual performed to bind his soul, so he can never haunt you, my mother smiled. Floating there. I raised an eyebrow. The ritual had clearly failed. Leo felt relief but feigned guilt, doing this to Silas. It feels wrong. That curse? My father spat. He was a jinx who owed you everything. My mother chimed in, claiming I had bullied him even in the womb, that my birth had drained his strength. She insisted I had ruined the family business and that my 2 years of comfort with the Thorns was more than I deserve. I almost laughed, wondering if they would eventually blame me for every misfortune they ever faced. You took back what was yours, she added. Leo had once feared Clara, but seeing my success he grew envious and decided to snatch my life for himself. The ceremony was beginning. Leo stood where I should have been, awaiting a fortune. My parents were beaming, believing they would soon control the Thorn Empire through their son. I drifted out, watching Clara handle business even now. I knew she was about to dismantle the corrupt elite of the city. This wedding was merely a tactical diversion to buy her time. I recalled grandmother's face as I lay dying in the street. There was no sorrow, only relief. Did even you think I deserved this, grandmother? The music started. Clara walked in, breathtaking. I watched, wanting to weep, longing to hold her hand. Leo stepped forward to claim his prize, but Clara did not reach out. She scrutinized him, her lips a thin line. It was the look she gave me when she suspected a lie. Leo, what is wrong? He asked nervously. Clara did not answer, only asking if he was happy. Leo quickly masked his smile, trying to mimic my usual anxiety. Happy and not happy, he stammered. That is enough for today, Clara said, turning on her heel and leaving. The guests fled, sensing her coldness. Only the Millers remained stunned. Was it a delay or a cancellation? They didn't dare ask. Even I was puzzled. Why break the charade now? My parents comforted Leo, suggesting she was just busy. Leo paced, replaying the scene, certain his acting was perfect. Suddenly, the phone on the table buzzed. Leo picked it up, fighting nausea at touching a dead man's device. It was a message. Go home first. Leo breathed a sigh of relief and headed to the Villa Clara and I shared. The housekeeper, Martha, opened the door. Mr. Miller, I have been waiting for you, she said. I realized that she had been part of the plot from the start. She showed Leo around, detailing my habits. But I heard the Jinx had a dog, Leo noted. Do not worry, I took care of it. Martha smiled. My mind went blank. I searched for my companion, Buddy, but found nothing. They wouldn't even spare a dog. I had found Buddy half frozen and begged Clara to keep him. She had initially refused. With such frostiness, I thought we'd both be evicted. But she relented by nightfall. Though she acted disgusted by him, she never threw him out. Even when a guest claimed the dog was a bad omen, she had remained silent. That evening, Clara returned. Leo rushed to take her coat. She immediately noticed the absence of the small black dog. Where is the dog? She asked. Martha lied, claiming he had eaten chicken bones and was at a clinic. I felt a surge of ghostly rage, but he never scavenged. Clara merely nodded and went upstairs. Leo followed, his fingertips brushing the fake mole he had tatted to match mine. He was determined. Clara emerged from the shower, and Leo tried to be attentive, blow-drying her hair as I used to. It didn't seem to spark suspicion until his breathing grew heavy. He reached for a foil packet under the pillow, but Clara spoke sharply. "Get out." Leo retreated confused. He wondered if he'd gotten a detail wrong. I wanted to laugh. I had a vasectomy a year ago to please her. We hadn't used those packets in forever. The phone buzzed again. "Tomorrow we visit grandmother." Clara had never cared for my family before. The next morning, they went to the hospital. I felt a sense of dread as we approached. My parents greeted them, but I floated past to grandmother's bed. She looked at Leo with a worry she had never shown me, not even when I was a sick child. "Grandmother, why did you want me dead?" I wondered. I realized now she had only ever seen me as an organ bank for her favorite. My parents claimed her fall was minor. Clara inquired about the accident and how Leo had assisted her. I looked down the hall. I felt my body was near. Leo grew pale as Clara walked toward the corridor's end. "Where are you going?" he asked. Clara touched the mole behind his ear, her sign of desire. Leo's face lit up with triumph. They walked, but I didn't find my body. My parents must have moved it. Leo suddenly feigned a collapse, claiming low blood sugar. Clara relented and let my parents take him to a lounge. In private, Leo snapped at them for not disposing of the jinx properly. There was a delay with the cornea, as my mother explained. Leo was furious. Grandmother interjected, complaining that all her years of keeping me as a spare part were wasted if the eyes were failing. My heart hit the abyss. I wasn't a grandson. I was a living pantry. My parents reassured Leo that they would find new eyes and that Clara clearly loved him. I left them, drifting to where Clara sat. Young doctor. Dr. Sterling entered. He scolded her for her allergies, revealing she was allergic to dogs. I was stunned. She had endured asthma for years just so I could keep Buddy. "Clara, you did care." He handed her medication and teased her about hiding her pretty boy. That night, Leo waited in the villa, but Clara stayed in her study with her friend Elena. Elena joked about her husband, and I realized that's how she spoke of me. After Elena left, Clara said in silence, fighting nausea, "I have been dreaming that Silas is cold." She whispered. She fell asleep on the sofa, her brow furrowed. I would have held her and smoothed the pain away, for only then was she truly vulnerable. Would you like me to continue the story and describe what happens when Clara finally uncovers the full extent of the Miller family's betrayal? Dropping her sharp demeanor, Clara would become as endearing as an infant. I felt a flicker of ghostly annoyance. I am a spirit now, so why can't I simply enter her dreams directly? I wanted to tell her there was something fundamentally wrong with the Miller family and that my physical form was hidden in the hospital stairwell. On this day, Clara officially took command of the Thorne family, becoming the true matriarch. Her methods were ruthless, lacking the mercy her father once showed. The prominent families of the city trembled in fear as the Lee Murphy and Allen families teetered on the brink of collapse. Overnight, scandals of tax evasion, market manipulation, and even murder were exposed. They had once conspired to bleed the Thorne family dry. Now, it was their turn to pay it all back. Only the Miller family remained temporarily unscathed. Rumors even circulated of a new wedding date. Everyone whispered that it was thanks to the Millers having such an attentive son, where many had failed. Leo Miller had supposedly kept Clara infatuated for 2 years. The Miller family thought they had hit the jackpot. Overjoyed, rushed to the villa again. "Son, from now on, no one can touch our family," she declared. Leo, however, still felt uneasy. "Mother, lately Clara and I haven't. Be patient," she interrupted confidently. "If Miss Thorne didn't like you, she wouldn't have announced a new wedding date." Leo remained concerned about my whereabouts. "What about the jinx?" "Still at the hospital," my mother said nonchalantly. "It has been tricky to operate lately because of a new project in prying eyes. But don't worry, he was put in the cold storage unit long ago. He is a block of ice by now." No wonder I had been feeling colder and colder. It seemed her words were true. But why? After all this time, was my spirit still lingering here? After the wedding announcement, Leo was no longer content to wait for Clara at home. He had never truly been intimate with her and decided to take the initiative. One evening after dinner, Clara suddenly wanted to go out. She didn't call a driver but simply walked out the main gate. Alarm bells went off in Leo's head. He feared she had a new lover. The thought of his dreams of wealth vanishing made him clench his fists as he followed her. Clara walked through the nearby neighborhood, and I floated beside her, trying to stay as close as possible. The sun hadn't set yet, and though I shouldn't have been exposed to the light, I couldn't afford to care. I felt increasingly cold and guessed I would dissipate soon. I tried to get closer to her, wanting to hold her, but Clara suddenly stopped in her tracks. She muttered to herself, "Are you really gone? Does she feel me? Clara? I've been afraid of the cold since I was a child. Please do not let me stay there." Leo trailed her, seeing a young man from a shop greet her. He frowned, consumed by jealousy at this average-looking stranger. Following her into the shop, he saw Clara squatting there, petting a listless dog. He realized it was a pet clinic. Just then, Clara turned her head and saw him. Leo snapped to his senses, fearing exposure. But then the listless dog's nose twitched. The animal suddenly lunged, dragging its IV pole to the ground. "Buddy!" Clara cried out. The scene was horrifying. In one swift move, Buddy tackled Leo to the ground. After pawing at Leo's coat pocket, the dog whimpered, bared his fangs, and bit directly into Leo's neck. Leo collapsed in a pool of blood. Martha, the housekeeper, rushed over, but Buddy was waiting. He bit her hand, making her shriek in pain. With his last breath, Leo wanted to call to Clara for help, but he could no longer make a sound. He saw Clara walking toward him and felt joy. But before he could speak, he heard her cold voice from above. "Who are you? Where is Silas Miller?" "Clara, I'm Silas," Leo whimpered incoherently from the pool of blood. Clara brought her foot down, stomping on his hand. "I'll ask you one more time, where is Silas Miller?" The scene was utterly chaotic, mixed with Martha's screams. I saw Buddy gradually losing strength. He could no longer stand. He just nudged the phone he had dug out of Leo's pocket toward Clara, whimpering. He must have smelled my blood on my phone, which is why he fought to the death to attack anyone who might have harmed me. The staff called the police. An ambulance took Martha and Leo away, but Buddy could no longer stand. "The poisoning is severe. I can't believe he could still stand up," the vet said in disbelief. Buddy finally closed his eyes, his paw still protectively covering my phone. I desperately floated down, wanting to hold him. He had used the last of his strength to avenge me, but I couldn't even cry for him. Clara stared blankly, unable to speak. She stroked Buddy's head as if rewarding him, but he would never wake again. Suddenly, a violent wave of nausea hit her, and she rushed to the restroom to vomit. I was stunned. This was the second time she had dry heaved. A thought entered my mind, but I dismissed it. That couldn't be possible, right? Just then, her phone rang. It was Dr. Sterling. "Clara, why aren't you at the hospital yet? Held up by your pretty boy again. If you keep prioritizing him, I might actually snip your boyfriend for real this time," the doctor complained. Floating there, I almost lost my balance. I finally remembered why that doctor looked familiar. He was the one who performed my surgery. His words meant I was never actually sterilized. Was it Clara's idea? Why wasn't she using protection? Could it be she actually wanted a child? For a moment, I didn't know whether to be happy or sad. We were having a child, but I was dead. "Clara, why aren't you talking?" the doctor asked. But Clara was staring at my phone. Countless clues converged in her mind. She told the doctor she would be right there, then dialed her assistant to lock down all hospital exits and detain any suspicious individuals. Clara sped to the hospital. She checked the stairwell in the morgue as last, but nothing. Remembering the words I had said in her dream, she walked to the door of the cold storage unit. I floated above the door as security guards pushed my parents and a middle-aged man forward. "Where is his body?" Clara's tone was glacial. My parents stood rooted to the spot. "It's not our fault. He just wasn't looking where he was going." Clara's sharp gaze swept over them. They shrank back but mustered the courage to say, "That James deserved to die." This position was always meant for Leo. Clara slammed her fist on the cold storage door. "I am asking you, where is the body?" Terrified, my parents fell to their knees and pointed toward the unit. I floated inside, but my heart felt empty. How strange, why did I have this feeling? Clara ordered the unit opened and pushed my parents inside. We don't know which one specifically. We left it all to him, they shivered, pointing at the middle-aged man. Clara instructed her assistant to lock the doors from the outside. The assistant panicked, trying to block the door. I also tensed. Letting them die with me was one thing, but was she going to join me? I told you in life. He's mine in death. He's my ghost, Clara said with a radiant smile. If he dares to sneak away to the afterlife, I'll chase him down and bring him back. I realized then she had been serious all along. Clara pried the assistant's fingers off the door. Just then, the middle-aged man sighed. Ma'am, you don't remember me, do you? Clara turned to look at him. People like us, we don't kill our saviors. The boss isn't here. Come with me. I suddenly recognized him. It was the truck driver I had rescued last year, the one who had refused an ambulance because he had no money. I was threatened by these two to hit someone. When I saw it was the boss, I changed the angle. Then I found an unclaimed body in the morgue to hand over. They didn't even realize it wasn't him. But the boss was still injured, so I arranged for him to be cared for here. The driver led them to an ordinary hospital room. At the door, I felt my heart beating incredibly fast. The next moment, I lost consciousness. I seemed to have had a very long dream. I vaguely heard a voice. This dog wants to trade 10 years of its life for 10 days of its master's soul being clear. TSK. The next instant, I opened my eyes. The first thing I saw was Clara. Her belly was already visibly swollen. I rubbed my eyes, thinking I must be dreaming. Clara also stared at me blankly. I later found out I had been in a coma for a full 3 months. My parents were sent to prison for life. Leo, after going blind and losing his protectors, had a mental breakdown and was placed in a psychiatric hospital. After I was discharged, Clara and I had a grand wedding. 6 months later, we welcomed our daughter, a lovely child with a birthmark on the tip of her nose and on her bottom, identical to Buddy's.